While everyone's posting their costume photos and planning parties, there's a significant group of people just counting down the days until November 1st. They're not Grinches. They just genuinely don't enjoy Halloween. And here's what's wild. About 30% of US consumers won't celebrate Halloween. That's tens of millions of people. But nobody talks about them because there's this massive cultural pressure to love this holiday. So if you're someone who dreads Halloween, or if you've ever felt guilty for not being excited about October 31st, this video is for you. Science actually explains why some people hate Halloween, and their reasons are completely valid. Let's dive in. Let's start with the most obvious reason. Not everyone finds fear enjoyable. For people with existing anxiety disorders or those who had negative experiences with Halloween as children, the holiday can be genuinely distressing. Sudden scares or reminders of past traumas can trigger anxiety, making Halloween an unpleasant experience. There's even a specific phobia called Samhainophobia, the fear of Halloween itself. It's estimated that around 12.5% of US adults experience specific phobia at some point during their lives, and for some people, Halloween is that trigger. People with Samhainophobia may have extreme fear or anxiety about Halloween parties, Halloween symbols such as ghosts and spiders, or trick-or-treating. Physical symptoms can include dizziness, intense sweating, rapid breathing and heart rate, trembling, and even panic attacks. And here's the thing. Past frightening experiences, like being tricked while trick-or-treating or visiting a scary haunted house at a young age, can trigger the development of Samhainophobia. These experiences create a negative association with Halloween that persists into adulthood. So when someone says they hate Halloween, they might not just be expressing a preference, they might be describing genuine psychological distress. But it goes deeper than just being scared. Halloween has been proven to affect people's minds. It creates legitimate senses of fear, anxiety, and stress that can continue even when Halloween is over. For people with mental health disorders and sensitivities, things like Halloween parties, trick-or-treating, or scary costumes can trigger anxiety attacks or relapses. For individuals who have experienced physical, sexual, or emotional abuse, witnessed the death of a loved one, or suffer from post-traumatic stress symptoms, certain aspects of Halloween might do more harm than good. Think about it. Viewing skeletons, blood, fake scars, or similar imagery can serve as reminders of past trauma. What seems innocent and fun to most people might be psychologically and emotionally disturbing for trauma survivors. For instance, a person dressed up in a slasher costume may remind someone with post-traumatic stress disorder of a past assault. One therapist described a client who left a Halloween party and went home to self-harm after hearing a Halloween song that reminded her of childhood abuse. Halloween imagery can stir night terrors or post-traumatic symptoms like hypervigilance, increased anxiety, or flashbacks. And for people already struggling with mental health, overexposure and hyperfixation on fear can cause a lack of sleep, which ultimately leads to stunted growth and development. This isn't about being sensitive. This is about real psychological harm. Even for people without trauma or phobias, Halloween can create intense social pressure. And this is where a huge portion of Halloween haters exist. Social anxiety around Halloween can include worrying about opening the door for trick-or-treaters and having to interact with neighbors and strangers, social awkwardness at Halloween parties such as not knowing what to say, or being uncomfortable with small talk and comparing your costume to others. For introverts and people with social anxiety, Halloween is basically a nightmare scenario. Think about it. Multiple party invitations you feel obligated to attend, pressure to come up with a creative, funny, or appropriate costume, having to perform enthusiasm and excitement, strangers constantly ringing your doorbell, small talk with neighbors you barely know, being judged if you don't participate. And here's what makes it worse. Adolescents and teens express significant anxiety over Halloween, particularly around socializing with peers rather than family. Some kids are left out of the groups where they collectively dress up. Others are excluded from Halloween parties, while some are left out of both. For those in groups, there tend to be intense negotiations regarding group themes or which costume to wear. And these negotiations can turn into fierce disagreements. One parent explained, "There are usually many texts going back and forth, and typically the queen bees wins out on picking the theme and costumes. The social dynamics of Halloween are exhausting, and for people who already struggle with social situations, it's overwhelming." Let's talk specifically about costumes, because this is a huge stressor that people don't acknowledge enough. It is apparent from speaking to teens that the anxiety is expressed mostly by females. They noted feeling more pressure to look their best and secure their social status. There's this impossible balance people, especially women, are expected to strike. Be creative, but not trying too hard. Be relevant to current trends, but also original. Spend money, but don't look like you spent money. Make people laugh, but don't be embarrassing. And the judgment is real. People are comparing costumes, posting on social media, making comments. For someone who already feels self-conscious, this is torture. Plus, there's the practical stress. Finding a costume, ordering it in time, hoping it fits, coordinating with friends, worrying about cultural appropriation, dealing with last-minute changes when someone else picked the same costume. It's decision fatigue on steroids. And for what? One night of forced fun? Now let's talk about something nobody wants to admit. Halloween is expensive. Shoppers plan to spend $103 to $114 on average for Halloween, and total Halloween spending is projected to reach $11.6 to $13.1 billion. For many families, this is a serious financial stress. 59% of Halloween spenders plan to forgo a Halloween purchase this year due to inflation, including decorations, candy, and party supplies. And here's the kicker. Most of this stuff is single use. You buy a costume, wear it once, and it sits in your closet forever. You buy decorations that only come out for a few weeks a year. You buy candy that gets eaten in one night. 19% of people who overspend on Halloween say they're consumed by the pressure to spend. There's this expectation that you need to go all out, especially if you have kids. Elaborate decorations, multiple costumes, themed parties, goodie bags for trick-or-treaters. For people on tight budgets, Halloween isn't fun, it's stressful. And the judgment from others if you don't participate or don't spend enough, that makes it even worse. Here's something people don't talk about enough. Halloween is full of energy and stimulation, and sometimes all of this stimulation can lead to increased levels of anxiety. For people with ADHD, autism, or sensory processing sensitivities, Halloween is overwhelming. Loud music and screaming at parties, strobe lights and flashing decorations, strong smells from makeup, fake blood, and latex costumes, crowded spaces with people in unpredictable costumes, constant doorbell ringing, unexpected jump scares. Many children fear scary makeup and costumes. Some don't want to participate in Halloween parties, or traditions like hearing ghost stories, or going through a haunted house. Going out in the dark and knocking on strangers' doors can be scary too. And it's not just kids. Adults with sensory sensitivities experience this too. But there's so much cultural pressure to just deal with it or get into the spirit that people feel they can't express their discomfort without being judged. There's something psychologically exhausting about Halloween that people don't acknowledge. It requires constant performance. You're expected to be excited and enthusiastic, admire everyone's costumes, laugh at scary decorations, act thrilled when kids come to your door, pretend to be scared, at haunted houses, post photos showing how much fun you're having. It's emotional labor disguised as fun. And for people who are already exhausted from performing in their daily lives, at work, in relationships, on social media, Halloween is just one more thing demanding their energy. Plus, if you're not naturally enthusiastic about Halloween, you face constant judgment. Why aren't you dressed up? Why aren't you coming to the party? Don't be such a buzzkill. It's just one night. Why can't you just have fun? This pressure to perform joy is exhausting. And it makes people who genuinely don't enjoy Halloween feel like there's something wrong with them. For many people, Halloween simply doesn't resonate culturally or religiously. Halloween comes from the Celtic festival of Samhain, when people believed the living and the dead mingled on October 31st. Some Christians view the holiday as celebrating darkness, death, or even satanic imagery. For them, participating feels like betraying their values. Others grew up in cultures where Halloween wasn't celebrated, so they have no nostalgic connection to it. The whole thing feels foreign and uncomfortable, like being forced to participate in someone else's tradition. And here's the thing. When you don't have a positive emotional connection to Halloween from childhood, all you see is the negative stuff. The commercialization, the waste, the pressure, the fear-mongering. None of the magic that people who love it keep talking about. Here's something really interesting from psychology research. The anonymity of Halloween makes people more likely to engage in antisocial behavior. Researchers in 1976 set up an experiment across 27 different homes on Halloween. At each residence, a researcher would greet trick-or-treaters, tell them they could take one piece of candy, and then disappear inside. The kids were left to decide whether to take one piece as requested or grab as much as they could. The results? Kids wearing masks and in groups were far more likely to steal extra candy. When kids were asked their name and address and took candy in front of a mirror, reducing their anonymity, only 9% took extra candy. What does this mean? Halloween creates conditions where people feel less accountable for their behavior. The costumes, the masks, the darkness, it all contributes to people acting in ways they normally wouldn't. For people who value authenticity and accountability, this aspect of Halloween feels wrong. It's not fun to watch people use the holiday as an excuse to be rude, destructive, or inappropriate. Here's what people who hate Halloween want you to understand. They're not against fun. They're not trying to ruin anyone else's good time. They just don't find this particular thing fun. Maybe they find fear genuinely distressing rather than exciting, get overwhelmed by sensory stimulation, can't afford the financial burden, experience social anxiety around costumes and parties, have trauma that's triggered by Halloween imagery, simply don't connect with the cultural significance, find the whole thing exhausting rather than energizing. And that's okay. Not every holiday needs to be for everyone. The problem is the cultural expectation that everyone must love Halloween. The judgment when you don't dress up. The pressure to attend parties. The assumption that something's wrong with you if you're not excited. People who hate Halloween aren't missing out on joy. They've just realized that this particular form of celebration doesn't work for their brain, their budget, their trauma history, or their values. You know what's interesting? Many people who finally give themselves permission to skip Halloween report feeling immense relief, no more. Scrambling for last-minute costumes, forcing enthusiasm at parties, spending money they don't have, dealing with doorbell anxiety, comparing themselves to others, pretending to enjoy being scared, performing happiness on social media. Instead, they spend October 31st doing things they actually enjoy. Reading, watching non-horror movies, having a quiet evening at home, going to bed early, whatever brings them genuine peace. And the best part? Realizing that nothing bad happens when you skip Halloween. The world doesn't end. Your friendships survive. Life goes on. For people who've been forcing themselves to participate out of obligation, discovering they can just not, it's genuinely life-changing. If you love Halloween and someone in your life doesn't, here's how to be supportive. Don't pressure them. Just come for an hour or you'll have fun once you're there. Dismisses their feelings. Accept their no without making them feel guilty. Don't make them explain themselves. They don't owe you a detailed justification for why they don't enjoy something. It's not my thing should be enough. Don't assume they're judging you. Someone not enjoying Halloween doesn't mean they think you're wrong for enjoying it. People can have different preferences without it being personal. Offer alternatives. If you want to spend time together, suggest non-Halloween activities. Dinner that isn't costume-themed, a movie that isn't horror, a regular hangout that happens to be on October 31st. Respect their boundaries. If they don't want to open their door to trick-or-treaters, don't push. If they don't want to see your Halloween decorations, don't guilt them into visiting. The goal isn't to convert them into Halloween lovers, it's to respect that different people have different comfort zones, and that's perfectly okay. So here's what we've learned. People who hate Halloween aren't party poopers or Grinches. They might be trauma survivors for whom Halloween imagery is triggering, people with anxiety disorders or specific phobias, individuals with sensory processing sensitivities, those experiencing social anxiety around costumes and parties, people on tight budgets, stressed by spending expectations, individuals with cultural or religious objections, simply people who don't find fear, costumes, and forced socializing enjoyable. 30% of US consumers won't celebrate Halloween. That's tens of millions of people. They're not weird. They're not broken. They just have different preferences, different trauma histories, different brains, or different values. In a world that's constantly telling us we should love certain things, holidays, parties, socializing, fear is entertainment, people who hate Halloween are quietly saying, "No thanks. I'm good sitting this one out." And honestly, there's something really important about that. It's okay to not enjoy what everyone else enjoys. It's okay to opt out. It's okay to protect your mental health, your budget, your peace of mind. Your preferences are valid, your boundaries matter, and you don't owe anyone participation in a holiday that makes you uncomfortable, anxious, or unhappy. So whether you're someone who hates Halloween or you're someone who's trying to understand why your friend always skips October 31st, now you know. It's not about being anti-fun. It's about recognizing that fun looks different for different people. Now I'm curious, are you a Halloween lover or a Halloween hater? And if you hate it, which of these reasons resonates most with you? Let me know in the comments. No judgment here. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more psychology content that validates different experiences and perspectives. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.